Runeterra, or Magic Planet, holds many realms and regions. The material realm, where the living live. The spirit realm, a parallel dimension that mirrors the material realm, home to spirits, demons, souls, and yordles. The celestial realm that takes place beyond the physical world that is home to celestial entities like the Aspects and the Starforger. And finally, the void realm, a nothingness that seeks to consume all of existence. The regions, starting from the north, they are the Freljord, Demacia, Noxuz, Piltover&Zaun, whom are part of the Valoran continent. The Shurima continent holds Targon, Shurima, Ixtal, the Void, Piltover&Zaun. Ionia is its own island continent or archipelago, and the same goes for the Shadow Isles. And finally, Bildgewater is a major port that is part of the Blue Flame Isles. The Arctic continent to the north has little importance other than having a link to the Call of Power and being the planet's geographic North Pole. The Camavoran continent is an eastern continent that became unknown to the rest of the world after the ruination. Ionia. Surrounded by treacherous seas, Ionia is composed of a number of allied provinces scattered across a massive archipelago, known to many as the First Lands. Since Ionia culture has long been shaped by the pursuit of balance in all things, the border between the material and spirit realm tends to be more permeable here, especially in the wild forests and mountains. Although these lands' enchantments can be fickle, its creatures dangerous and fey, for many centuries, most Ionians led lives of plenty. The warrior monasteries, provincial militias, and even Ionia itself had been enough to protect them. But that ended 12 years ago, when Noxuz attacked the First Lands. The Empire's seemingly endless war hosts savaged Ionia, and were only defeated after many years, and at great cost. Now, Ionia exists in an uneasy peace. Different reactions to the war have divided the region. Some groups, such as the Sojin monks or the Kinku, seek a return to isolationist pacifism and pastoral traditions. Other more radical factions, such as the Navari Brotherhood or the Order of Shadow, demand a militarization of the land's magic to create a single unified nation that can take vengeance on Noxuz. The fate of Ionia hangs in a delicate balance that few are willing to overturn, but all can feel shifting uneasily beneath their feet. Noxuz. Noxuz is a powerful empire with a fearsome reputation. To those beyond its borders, it is brutal, expansionist, and threatening, yet those who look past its warlike exterior see an unusual inclusive society, where the strengths and talents of its people are respected and cultivated. The Noxuz were once fierce barbarian tribes, until they stormed the ancient city that now lies at the heart of their domain. Under threat from all sides, they aggressively took the fight to their enemies, pushing their borders outwards with each passing year. This struggle for survival has made modern Noxians a deeply proud people who value strength above all, though that strength can manifest in many different forms. Anyone can rise to a position of power and respect within Noxuz if they display the necessary aptitude, regardless of social standing, background, homeland, or wealth. Those who are able to wield magic are held in particularly high esteem and are actively sought out in order that their special talents may be honed and best harnessed for the benefit of the Empire. But, in spite of this meritocratic ideal, the old noble house still wield considerable power, and some fear that the greatest threat to Noxuz comes not from its enemies, but from within. Demacia. A strong, lawful kingdom with a prestigious military history, Demacia's people have always valued the ideals of justice, honor, and duty most highly, and are fiercely proud of their cultural heritage. But in spite of these lofty principles, this largely self-sufficient nation has grown more insular and isolationist in recent centuries. Now, Demacia is a kingdom in turmoil. The capital, the great city of Demacia, was founded as a refuge from sorcery after the nightmare of the Rune Wars, and built upon the riddle of Petricite, a peculiar white stone that dampens magical energy. It is from here that the royal family has long seen to the defense of the outlying towns and villages, farmlands, forests, and mountains rich with mineral resources. However, following the sudden death of King Jarvan III, the other noble families have not yet approved the succession of his sole heir, young Prince Jarvan, to the throne. Those who dwell beyond the heavily guarded borders are increasingly viewed with suspicion, and many former allies have begun to look elsewhere for protection in these uncertain times. Some dare to whisper that the golden age of Demacia has passed, and, unless its people are willing to adapt to a changing world, something many believe they are incapable of doing, the kingdom's decline may be inevitable, and all the Petricite in the land will not protect Demacia from itself. The Freljord. The Freljord is a harsh and unforgiving place, where the people are born warriors, who must persevere against all odds. Proud and fiercely independent, the tribes of the Freljord are often considered wild, rugged, and uncivilized by their neighbors across Valoran, who do not know the ancient traditions that shaped them. Many thousands of years ago, the alliance between the sisters Avarosa, Serilda, and Lysandra was shattered in a war that unknowingly threatened all of Runeterra, plunging the northern lands into chaos and a near constant winter. Now, only those truly exceptional mortals who seem immune to the ravages of fire or ice seem destined or able to lead. Despite the best efforts of the Frostguard, myths and legends still endure of the old gods, the enigmatic Yetis, and restless spirit walker shamans. The Raider of the Winter's Claw range further with each passing year, harrying the borders of Demacia to the south and the frontiers of Noxuz to the east. Finally, seeking a more peaceful future, the fractious independent tribes and clans have begun to offer their allegiance to Ash, young queen of the Avarosans. Even so, the portents are grim. War is surely returning to the Freljord, and none can hope to escape it. Piltover&Zaun, starting with Piltover. Piltover is a thriving progressive city whose power and influence is on the rise. It is Valoran's cultural center, where art, craftsmanship, trade, and innovation walk hand in hand. Its power comes not through military might, but the engines of commerce and forward thinking. Situated on the cliffs above the district of Zaun and overlooking the ocean, fleets of ships pass through its titanic sea gates, bringing goods from all over the world. The wealth this generates has given rise to an unprecedented boom in the city's growth. Burgeoning merchant clans fund development in the most incredible endeavors, grand artistic follies, esoteric hextech research, and architectural monuments to their power. With ever more inventors delving into the emergent lore of hextech, Piltover has become a lodestone for the most skilled craftsmen the world over. Zaun. Zaun is a large undercity district, lying in the deep canyons and valleys threading Piltover. What light reaches below is filtered through fumes leaking from the tangles of corroded pipeworks and reflected from the stained glass of its industrial architecture. Zaun and Piltover were once united, but are now separate yet symbiotic societies. Though it exists in perpetual smog twilight, Zaun thrives, its people vibrant and its culture rich. Piltover's wealth has allowed Zaun to develop in tandem, a dark mirror of the city above. Many of the goods coming to Piltover find their way into Zaun's black markets, and Hextech inventors who find the restrictions placed upon them in the city above too restrictive often find their dangerous researches welcomed in Zaun. Unfettered development of volatile technologies and reckless industry has rendered whole swaths of Zaun polluted and dangerous. Streams of toxic runoff stagnate in the city's lower reaches, but even here, people find a way to exist and prosper. Bildgewater. Nestled away in the Blue Flame Isles archipelago, Bildgewater is a port city like no other. Home to serpent hunters, dock gangs, and smugglers from across the known world. Here, fortunes are made and ambitions shattered in the blink of an eye. For those fleeing justice, debt, or persecution, Bildgewater can be a place for new beginnings, for no one on these twisted streets care about your past. Even so, with each new dawn, careless travelers can always be found floating in the harbor, their purses empty and their throats slit. While incredibly dangerous, Bildgewater is ripe with opportunity, free from the shackles of formal government and trade regulations. If you have the coin, almost anything can be purchased here, from outlawed hextech to the favor of local crime lords. With the recent removal of the last Reaver King of Bildgewater, the city has entered a period of transition, while the most prominent captains try to agree on its future. But as long as there are seaworthy ships and crews to sail them, Bildgewater is likely to remain one of the most colorful and well-connected places in Runeterra. Shurima. The Empire of Shurima was once a thriving civilization that spanned an entire continent. Forged in a bygone age by the mighty god warriors of the Ascended Host, it united all the disparate peoples of the south and enforced a lasting peace between them. Few dared to rebel. Those that did, like the accursed nations of Vicathia, were crushed without mercy. However, after several thousand years of growth and prosperity, the failed ascensions of Shurima's last emperor left the capital in ruins, and tales of the empire's former glory became little more than myth. Now, most of the nomadic inhabitants of Shurima's desert eke out of a meager existence from the unforgiving land. Some have built a small outpost to defend the few oases, while others delve into long-lost catacombs in search of the untold riches that must surely lay buried there. There are also those who live as mercenaries, taking coin for their service before disappearing back into the lawless wastelands. Still, a handful dare to dream of a return to the old days. Indeed, more recently, the tribes have been stirred by whisperers of the heart of the desert that their Emperor Azir has returned to lead them into a new, wondrous age. Ixtal. Renowned for its mastery of elemental magic, Ixtal was one of the first independent nations to join the Shuriman Empire. In truth, Ixtali culture is much older, part of the great westward diaspora that gave rise to the civilizations including the Buru, magnificent Hylia, and the ascetics of Targon. And it is likely they played a significant role in the creation of the first Ascended. But the mages of Ixtal survived the Void, and later the Darken, by distancing themselves from the neighbors, drawing the wilderness around them like a shield. While much had already been lost, they were committed to the preservation of what little remained. Now, secluded deep in the jungle for thousands of years, the sophisticated archaeology city of Ixtal remains mostly free of outside influence. Having witnessed from afar the ruination of the Blessed Isles and the rune wars that followed, the Ixtali viewed all the other factions of Runeterra as upstarts and pretenders, and used their powerful magic to keep any intruders at bay. The Shadow Isles. This cursed land was once home to a noble, enlightened civilization, known to its allies and emissaries as the Blessed Isles. However, more than 1,000 years ago, an unprecedented magical cataclysm left the barrier between the material and spirit realm in tatters, effectively merging the two and dooming all living things in an instant. Now, a malevolent black mist permanently shrouds the Isles, and the earth itself is tainted by dark sorcery. Mortals who dare to venture to these dismal shores will slowly have their life force stolen away from them, which in turn attracts the insatiable, restless spirits of the dead. Those who perish within the mist are condemned to haunt this nightmarish place for eternity. Worse still, the power of the Shadow Isles appears to wax stronger with every passing year, allowing the most powerful specters to roam farther and farther across Runeterra. Targon. Mount Targon is the mightiest peak in Runeterra, a towering peak of the sun-baked rock amid a range of summits unmatched in scale anywhere else in the world. Located far from civilization, Mount Targon is utterly remote and all, but impossible to reach save by the most determined seeker. Many legends cling to Mount Targon, and like any place of myth, it is a beacon to dreamers, madmen, and questers of adventure. Some of these brave souls attempt to scale the impossible mountain, perhaps seeking wisdom or enlightenment, perhaps chasing glory or some soul-deep yearning to witness its summit. The ascent is all but impossible, and those hardy few who somehow survive to reach the top almost never speak of what they have seen. Some return with haunted, empty look in their eyes. Others changed beyond all recognition, imbued by an aspect of unearthly, inhuman power with a destiny few mortals can comprehend. The Void. Screaming into existence with the birth of the universe, the Void is a manifestation of the unknowable nothingness that lies beyond. It is a force of insatiable hunger, waiting through the eons until its masters, the mysterious Watchers, mark the final time of undoing. To be a mortal touched by this power is to suffer an agonizing glimpse of eternal unreality, enough to shatter even the strongest mind. Denizens of the Void Realm itself are construct creatures, often of only limited sentience, but tasked with a singular purpose, to usher in total oblivion across Runeterra. The Bandle City. Opinions differ as to where exactly the home of the Yordles is to be found, though a handful of mortals claim to have traveled unseen pathways to a land of curious enchantment beyond the material realm. They tell of a place of unfettered magic, where the foolhardy can be led astray by myriad wonders and end up lost in a dream. In Bandle City, it is said that every sensation is heightened for non-Yordles. Colors are brighter, food and drink intoxicates the senses for years and, once tasted, will never be forgotten. The sunlight is eternally golden, the waters crystal clear, and every harvest brings a fruitful bounty. Perhaps some of these claims are true, or maybe none, for no two telltellers ever seem to agree on what they actually saw. Only one thing is known for certain, and that is the timeless quality of Bandle City and its inhabitants. This might explain why those mortals who find their way back often appear to have aged tremendously, while many more never return at all.